Hey friends, this is Dolynny TV. Glad to have you aboard here this evening as we get back to the nitty gritty of Oilers news following the victory, the 1-0 victory that is, against the LA Kings. A big time divisional matchup for the Edmonton Oilers that comes up aces thanks to Stu Skinner and Connor McDavid. We all appreciate that. But today, the Oilers making a couple of waves out there in the hockey circles. Recalling Noah Philp, we'll have more on that in a moment. And as well, talking about potentially adding a new right-hand shot D-man to the NHL mix. We'll stay tuned on that as well, similar to another situation we continue to watch for the Oilers. If you are new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button here today. Would love to have you aboard for what is going to be a very interesting run up to the NHL trade deadline. What I will tell you, with Noah Philp being recalled today by the Edmonton Oilers, it is kind of, as everybody will point to in Oilers media circles, the lead up begins for NHL trade deadline. So with that, we move on over to today's news on Noah Philp, which is the Oilers recalling Noah Philp from the Condors, the 26-year-old right-hand shot big centerman. Similar, right? Some people would say maybe he fits the profile of not needing to acquire Nick Bjugstad from the Utah Hockey Club. Well, Noah Philp has scored 9 goals and 8 assists in 28 games with Bakersfield. And importantly so, it's been hinted at all month here from the likes of Bob Stauffer and others that Noah Philp is coming for the Edmonton Oilers. And here he is, arriving hopefully in time for the game against Minnesota tomorrow night. Bob adding here to the Oilers tweet about the recall, don't be surprised to see the Oilers test drive Philp for a stretch of games if he performs well. Has played second line center, second unit power play, and seen significant penalty kill time with the Condors. So what we know about Noah Philp in all of that, and what we know that means for us, is simple. For the Oilers, well, you already saw it. The Oilers are more amped to get Josh Brown into the lineup against an opponent like the LA Kings than they are to allow Derek Ryan ice time. So what we know in that is the need for an upgrade is clear. We've known that, well, for the better part of the past few years at this point. Again, we upgraded, got Nick Bjugstad a few years back, and also we got Sam Carrick last year. Interestingly enough, Carrick actually ended up losing his spot to Derek Ryan in the playoffs. Everything comes full circle, I tell you. But Derek Ryan at this point is your replacement level player. Again, think similar to Sam Gagner. Again, keep Sam Gagner's name in mind as we go into the final topic of today's video. But for the Oilers, Noah Philp comes in as kind of not even the new kid on the block, just this shiny toy that the Oilers have had kind of in the tool chest in Bakersfield off and on over the past few years. And everything that he did in his time off from the NHL, from hockey last year, has come up aces for him as well, simply because look at where he finds himself. He's gotten some NHL time. He's got his first career point. I think for Noah Philp, he's well poised to run with the fourth line center role in Edmonton, at least for the time being. Cap space, who cares about that? We will try and get an explanation on that some other time. But for the Oilers, definitely a good addition to the bottom six in Noah Philp, a guy who has skill upside, a guy who has size, a guy who's a right-hand shot. I mean, what other boxes do you need to tick down there for 10.5 minutes a night, especially considering, like Bob said, he can kill penalties for you as well. So that is where we move on to the news on Adrian Kempe today. For the Oilers, there was a whole bunch of stuff going on with Connor McDavid last night, and why not? It was his birthday, and kind of McDavid's kind of the poster child for big performances on his birthday. At least that's what we've come to expect as Edmonton Oilers fans over the course of his career here. What we do know, though, is Kempe, for his actions there slew-footing Connor McDavid, was fined. I really don't truly know how much uproar there was about that last night. It didn't even seem to really cross my mind post-game. So just one of those things. Check that box if you were upset about that, and away we go. So now we move on to item number 3. And again, I'll brief you right now, as I've briefed some folks today about how I feel talking about this one. It's the exact same idea as John Gibson. It's the same idea as Erik Karlsson. And I will credit Patrick from the Oilers Fanatic putting it the best way possible. is just because it's maybe an upgrade on paper or it's a different change that could give you a better look, whatever you want to put it, doesn't necessarily mean at all it's going to happen. Yes, you have to talk about it in a role like this because it's part of the daily news cycle. But what you also have to realize is that it's just more or less, more than likely, due diligence on the Oilers' part. So with that, let's get to talking about John Klingberg and his comeback attempt from hip resurfacing. Again, hey. Remember what I said about Sam Gagner? Look at this guy trying to do it mid-season. Unlike Gagner earlier last year, kind of missing a little bit of the start, going down to Bakersfield and then meteorically coming back up to the Oilers and being an impact player in a terrible part of the NHL season for our Edmonton Oilers last season. So Darren Dreger, this was, I don't know, about, what would that be, about 9, 10 o'clock in the morning out here in southern Alberta, decided to drop this one out there in the world that John Klingberg is closing in on resuming his NHL career. He's been out of action, I think, since the start of last year, if not summer of 2023. Which, here's some teams that are interested. Why are we talking about it? Toronto and Ottawa and, of course, the Edmonton Oilers among the teams with expressed interest. So it's not just interested, it's expressed. The Oilers, hey, let's talk if you're willing to talk. A decision expected in the next 2 weeks. Klingberg had hip resurfacing surgery in 2023 and has worked hard to get back to this point. 5 to 7 teams in the mix. So right there, Dreger mentions 3 teams immediately, so you've got 3 out of a possible 5 or 7, and then goes out there to explain further that Vancouver among the teams that kick tires with interest in Klingberg. However, unless something changes, the Canucks aren't as keen as others. So now all of a sudden you've got him listing 3 teams, Toronto, Ottawa, Edmonton, in the original, and then mentioning Vancouver's not as keen as the others. That would mean that the Oilers, again, recognize that upgrading on the right-hand side of the defense is an important part of the balance for the playoffs. And I will do this again. In terms of everybody sits here and thinks I'm just absolutely shipping John Gibson to the Oilers no matter what. I don't know. Here, friends, I don't know if somebody can go back through the video archives, but I don't think I've shown John Gibson's stats yet on the channel. And that's usually a good sign that I'm serious about the guy becoming a member of the Oilers. So when I'm sitting here telling you today about John Klingberg and talking all about him, just take with a grain of salt that I'm not showing you any John Klingberg stats right now, just because it's just one of those things. It's the first time we're hearing about it. It's preliminary. Stay tuned. We'll see what happens. But again, nice to see the Oilers still do recognize that they have an obligation to upgrade the right-hand side of the defense. Whether it's with a right shot or a left shot, I don't care. It's just the right side alongside Darnell Nurse is very important. What I will add, and I wanted this to be pretty much an exclusive first time anyone's hearing this out of my mouth, is that I truly don't believe John Klingberg is at all an upgrade. In fact, unless he's coming back from his hip resurfacing surgery as the all-star John Klingberg or the early Dallas Stars days, you're probably costing this team more by adding him than you are by not. And again, that sounds critical, and hey, maybe it is, but I would like to see the Oilers go out there and add somebody with a different skill set outside of what John Klingberg brings to the Oilers. I think if everybody hates Nurse and Bouchard, well, I'm sure you'd love to hate John Klingberg as well. So that's where we currently sit on that one. We'll again monitor it the same as whenever the Oilers get mentioned with a player like John Gibson, John Klingberg, or Erik Karlsson. We monitor it, see what the updates are. It eventually doesn't happen, and it's a whole bunch of talk that everybody got frustrated with and everybody got uppity at each other about, and ultimately leads to nothing. So that closes it out. Noah Philp, though, today, that one's got me excited. I'm looking forward to seeing hopefully Noah in the lineup against the Minnesota Wild, especially. I think Bryn Griffiths was mentioning that the Minnesota Wild are a little bit beat up right now, similar to last time the Oilers visited them, or maybe they're healthy. I don't know. The AM static down here on 880 Ched versus 630 back in the day is absolutely unbelievable. So stay tuned. I may be right. I may be wrong. I may be in left field. I might be catching balls in foul territory and right. I don't know. We'll find out, friends. I am up on out of here.